Welcome to Cruise Stories, the podcast series that gives a voice to those who make bourbon every day, at sea and on land. Discover their jobs, their careers, and their daily lives on board our vessels. Through these stories, we want to highlight the commitment, skills, and essential role of our crews in the success of our missions. In this episode, we hear from Ebisidoh Ebaretonbofa, master on board an offshore support vessel.
My name is Ebisidoh Ebaretonbofa, originally Nigerian. I live in Poland. I've lived there for the past 16 years. I work as a captain on Bourbon Liberty 252. This is an anchor handling supply vessel. We call it AHTS, anchor handling, towing and supply. So we tow basically everything. Anything that floats and that needs to be transported from one location to another, we can do that. It's a very versatile type of ship. In my experience, we've used it for diving operations as well, even though it's an anchor handling and towing supply vessel. We've used it for seismic survey. Not really seismic, but more like a debris survey. We kind of use it for survey operations. So survey, diving, supply, anchor handling, towing, so it can be converted to whatever the client needs it to be within the limitations of the vessel, of course, so. Wow, it's a very big responsibility to be a captain on board a ship because you are in charge of all aspects, operational aspects, and you also have to serve as a link between the office and the ship, the office and the clients. And also you kind of like have to manage the crew and the personnel on board. So it's a very challenging role sometimes because you have different scenarios, different people from different cultures, different nationalities, different backgrounds. It could be very fulfilling, because you kind of learn from different people, You have people from European descent, from, Africa, from the Middle East. It's just like a mixed bag of nuts. The mixed nuts, something like that. That's what you have on board the ship. And you have to be the guy who has to manage everything. We try to ensure that all safety protocols and procedures are followed. So we try to ensure that the crew, they are dressed up properly, they follow the company PPE matrix, they had hats, the gloves, the shoes, they have everything. And also we try to show by example, lead by examples, So if I'm sitting down on the bridge and I see a guy on the deck with the wrong shoes, we call on the radio, excuse me, what are you doing there? Could you leave? Could you change your shoes? So we try to follow because we're not the only ones watching ourselves. The client also sometimes is also watching us, and we have to make sure that we're in line with the safety, and we take notes. We make this stop cards. We call them Be Safe cards on board. We fill them up, but we try to keep records of this for learning purposes. We're very, very specific on this. We can sing it all day long. We don't care. As long as no incident happens on board Bourbon ships, we're satisfied with that, and we would like to go home and come back without any incident and any harm coming to any of the crew members or damage to our assets or equipment. A typical day on board the vessel. First, we're drinking coffee and we have the toolbox talk meeting every 7 o'clock. We have this at 7. Everybody's on the bridge and we're discussing together. So I listen to what is going right, what is going wrong, the plan for the day, what we're going to do. For example, we have some repairs, we have some operations. So, for example, the chief engineer is there, the chief officer is there, and both of them are respective leaders of the different departments. So, for example, the chief engineer is in charge of the engine room, and he has to report to me how everything is going in the engine room, if they have any jobs, any breakdowns. The chief officer is in charge of the deck. He also reports to me and he gives me an idea of what is going on the deck, what is damaged or what needs to be done. And after that, everybody gets back to work. By 8 a.m., the ship is fully alive. Those people on duty working, people off duty are resting, and we carry out different types of operations. And pretty much till the duty is over, I go down to rest. But I'm always available for all the officers whenever needed. The way the job has evolved, mostly all the paperwork now is going digital now. Everything used to be on paper. We used to print out forms, we used to fill our checklists, print out the papers, have big folders on the bridge to keep records. But now everything is going now online. Now everything is digitalized. We have like what they call smart shipping provided by Bobon. Bobon provided the system, smart shipping. So all our records, all our checklists, our SMS, and procedures are all online because we don't have to store so much paper on board the ship. We stopped using the papers 3 years ago, 4 years ago. Now it's much easier because everything is online. Everything is online, and you just have to fill up properly and save and submit this, and the record is already there somewhere in the cloud somewhere. So this is, I'll say, it's a good leap forward. My professional background is technical engineering and marine navigation. So I studied since 2008 to 2011 in the maritime school located in Gdynia, Poland. And after that, I worked on the LNG vessels. They call them the LNG vessels. I was a cadet. And after that, I became a fourth officer, after which I departed. I left and I went to a local company to work as a third officer on a offshore supply vessel. And after about few months, I departed and I went to the drilling ships. And then I left and applied and I got employed by Bourbon in 2013. So I worked for Bourbon from 2013 to 2014 and I left. At that time in my career, I was searching for something different. And when we had the COVID, the pandemic, most of the companies were shutting down, and Bobon already reached out to me 2 years prior to my return, and they were asking, "Are you available? We found you in our database. You used to be our seafarer. Are you interested in working for us?" So I thought about it because Bobon was always a good place. It's like home, because there's a very strong team spirit there. It's not like many other companies. For most seafarers, everybody's looking for the perfect company, but it does not exist. So Bobon does a lot. I'll be honest, they a lot of aspects they handle very well compared to other companies. I'm kind of like a very ambitious person. I'm very driven, So working for Bobon, they give you the room to actually push forward and do what is necessary to be done in order to satisfy and deliver, good service to the clients. High quality. We have like, the company SMS, which is a guideline for us, like the Bible, we kind of like follow. You have every scenario in the book, you can like find something related to it. So even if you don't know, you kind of like have it like an example, like a preamble for you. Like there's a sample there already, and you can go through this and say, oh, okay, I can see what this is about, what I need to do. And even when you're not, sure, that's maybe something is not clear, you can always call to your operational manager, your technical superintendent, and say, "Hey, I've gone through this and something is not clear for me." And he's going to explain and say, "Okay, no, like this, it should be like this, or, what do you need for this?" So there's always that support, and you don't feel like, bring up any doubts or any problems, to the company. You can always tell Bobon, "Look, we have this problem. Can we do like this, or how do we resolve this?" And Bourbon is always there with solutions, or there's either a short-term solution or a long-term solution, but they're always there to support you. They always have your back when it comes to this type of issues. So it's like your own family, your mother, your father, your brother, your sister. You can relate to the people in Bourbon like that, because even when I have a phone call conversation with the guys from the office, and hello, hi, how are you don't feel like tense. You feel like, okay, I can speak to this person and say, oh, we're not eating right today. We didn't have enough coffee. We don't have internet, or, I'm not feeling good today. Oh, what's wrong? Like I didn't sleep good. The sea is rough. And you have this normal back and forth. It's not always business all the time. Sometimes you need to have that normal, casual conversation with the people from the office. So Bobon is very good in personal relations, especially the managers from the office and the crewing department as well. Well, some of my best memories, I remember, like, it was my first trip as a master on the Bourbon Liberty 206. I was on the video call with the operational manager. We had like a meeting. So myself, the operation, and the technical. And we were in the ports alongside, and the authorities came on board the ship and they were like, oh, we have to check this and that. You need to bring this papers. And, while I was like shuffling around to like get the paperwork, trying to get the certificates, the operational manager, he was like, and also give them this and that. He was also supporting. It was very nice to see that, you had somebody there who is somewhere on the other side of the world trying to give you like support or backup. Yeah, he's aware that I know what to do, but he's like, I'll make sure that they see like this. And this was very funny, because it's like he has been there before, he has done that, so he knows how it is and how it looks. So I was very happy with that. And another favorite memory is we trying to resolve an issue on the deck. The guys that not speaking English, we had some non-English speakers on the deck, so you have to act out what you want from them. So it's always funny because you have to demonstrate, like you want a tool, you have to show them you need a hammer, so you have to show them the hammer in motion. And oh, you see, they get it, they run to the stores, they bring the hammer, maybe the wrong size, but at least they bring a hammer. So it was very entertaining during that period of time. We tried to be relaxed because English is not first language of so many people, so we try to be very understanding and accommodating in such cases. Sometimes, you say something and the person doesn't understand and does the opposite. You have to like be really patient. But we try to find humor in this type of cases, so we don't get mad or upset. We're just like, okay. It's funny. But those are some of the memories I can share I can share with you for now. Being a seafarer, you get to see a lot of amazing things. You have amazing experiences. You meet different people. You learn different things. Different cultures, different type of food, different countries. Continents. It's a thing of pride. Bourbon gives this opportunity. There is no limitation. They're not trying to limit you and say, "Oh, no, you can walk only here." Bourbon is a very, how I say, they do their best to be very fair. They will give equal opportunity, if possible, to everybody under the employed. It was always my dream to become a seafarer. I always dreamt of becoming a seaman. I always dreamt that I would sail the seas and, I don't know, travel to different places, mostly exotic places, but we don't normally get everything we want. Sometimes we get to sail to really nice locations, and other times, okay, we get not so great locations, but it is what it is. But it's a dream come true for me because I actually studied this in school and I actually get to work in the sector which I actually studied and get to make money. I get to, look after my family with this. And, I always wanted to be a seaman. I always wanted to be a captain, which I am today. So, like, well, I'll say I can tick that off the box thanks to Bourbon. I'll say dream fulfilled. What I would say to a young man or woman that wants to be a seafarer, I would say you really have to want it because it's not very easy. One, the job is not for the faint of heart, so you really must want it. Two, you cannot afford to give up. Sometimes it's not so great. It won't be all the time nice. Sometimes you have to work long contracts. Sometimes the contract is difficult. So you have to be ready for this. And you have to have an open mind. What I would just crown that up with is you cannot afford to give up because most times is at the time when you're just about to give up, you have a breakthrough. I'll use myself as an example. Every time I was about to quit, I got promoted. And when you don't give up, sometimes it pays off because it might not be smooth in the beginning, but trust me, it will come okay. It will become okay.